Other boats.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of PWM Radio. Our guest this week hails from the Kingdom of Tonga. He is a founding member of the Bullet Club, former IWGP Intercontinental Champion, and we are honoured to be joined by the underboss, Bad Luck Fale. How's it going?
Hey, good. Nice to be on here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. So it's been a few weeks now since the New Japan Super Show Destruction. So you headlined against Nakamura. So how do you feel the match went? And would you say this is probably the conclusion of your feud in Nakamura?
The match went well. I thought during the match I didn't think it was going good, but afterwards everybody was showing me some praise, and watching it afterwards, it was really actually better than I thought. But after losing the bout to him, I'm not sure if the feud's going to be over or not, but I am looking forward if it is going to carry on or whatever comes up next. So,
okay,
whatever.
Yeah. So rewinding back to the start, you used to play rugby for the De La Salle College in New Zealand, and then you went on to play Union in Japan. Were you a fan of rugby growing up? And you know, what are some of the highlights of your rugby career?
Yeah. In New Zealand, there's not that many options, so rugby is one of the main sports here, and it's the only one you can pursue actually if you want to make some money in sport. Actually, I was a big fan of wrestling, but there was no way to learn or no way to take that road, so I had to turn to rugby, and I was lucky enough to get to played in high school and made a little bit of a name for myself, making rep teams and all, and kind of got me the scholarship to go to Japan.
Yeah. So were there any, obviously All Blacks are like, you know, world famous, was there any chance of you playing for them at any point then?
It's hard to say because everybody wants to be an All Black, and while I was playing, you never know because everybody was so good. Well, I had dreams to be an All Black, but I was just being realistic, and I took the option to go to Japan.
Yeah. So after you finished up your rugby career, you started training to become a wrestler, and you landed in the world famous New Japan Dojo. How did this come about then, from rugby to wrestling?
Yeah, once my rugby career ended, I was about to leave to go back to New Zealand. But a friend of mine, he was a sumo wrestler, and he knew the recruiter for New Japan, and he called me after he heard I was about to leave, and he asked me if I wanted to stay in Japan, and of course I enjoy and I love living in Japan, and I told him, yeah, I'd love to stay here, just don't know how to, and he goes, if you want to, there's another option. Why don't you meet me in Tokyo and I'll take you to a trial. And that's how I got on.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
So what was life like in the dojo? I mean, am I right in saying you were like the first and maybe the only foreign wrestler who went fully through the dojo system?
Yes, you are. It was, honestly, it was hell. And it was almost being in prison because you had to get permission to do everything. You weren't allowed to leave the dojo. You weren't allowed to even go outside unless you go out and do a job or something. So It was really hard. And I was the first foreigner to do the fully training, 100%, right from doing the dishes, doing the laundry of everybody, and cooking everything. Like I think the last guy who's done it was Prince Tonga, King Haku Meng.
Oh yeah.
He did it for All Japan. So I was the first one in New Japan to do it.
So when you say you like doing the cooking and cleaning now, was that for everyone else in the dojo or like the higher up wrestlers and things?
For everybody. The cooking was for everybody to eat. Would do cooking in the morning for breakfast, lunch, and then dinner was just for the guys who lived in the dojo.
Right. So it sounds pretty brutal. Is that kind of like, is it just like a rite of passage into New Japan then? Does everyone have to go through that process?
Yeah. The thing that I always got told was, if you think you're being treated badly, just remember everybody else above you went through the same shit.
Yeah. Well, I suppose once they put it like that, you don't feel too bad. So you debuted for New Japan in 2010 as King Fale, and what's some of your memories of your debut and your first few months in the company?
Well, my memory of the debut is almost a broken jaw. It was.
Wow.
I couldn't eat for a week after that, and I've only seen that match once. After that, I do not want to watch it again. Yeah. It was so bad. It looked so bad. It was basically they threw me in there with no knowledge of how to wrestle, because they don't teach you how to wrestle. They let you learn from your matches, even if it's in front of 2,000 people. And I was glad it went through that way, because it kind of taught me another way of accepting the lifestyle, which was after the hardcore training, they put me into this match, and it's either sink or swim kind of thing.
Yeah. So obviously you said that's a pretty brutal way to make your debut, isn't it, with a broken jaw? And obviously New Japan's known for the strong style, aren't they? We obviously rugby's fairly physical, isn't it, as well? So were you used to it when you first came in then? Were you like, oh wow, this is I'm used to being physical like this?
Oh no. Well, when I left rugby, I was glad I was over it, because the training in rugby was so different. It was hard in itself. It was in that sport. It's a different type of physicality and all that stuff. But then when I got the chance to go to wrestling, I had this dumb idea it was going to be easier,
right,
in trainings I did in rugby, but it ended up being harder. And it's because it's a different type of training. You do using different muscles, you're using different power, strength, and all that kind of stuff. So I was not at all used to what was going on. And when I joined it, I found out, and I had to kind of reinvent the way I looked at training and stuff.
Yeah. So following on from this, you took an excursion to the US for 14 months. I was just wondering where you appeared and what your experiences were like wrestling in America.
Yeah, as you can tell, I'm just laughing about it, because it wasn't much of an experience. I went there, and I was based in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was training with a couple of guys, Davey Richards, Tony Cozina, and Kyle O'Reilly. And we basically just did a lot of shoot training, kickboxing, grappling and stuff. And once in a while, I'll get one of those indie shows on the weekends, which was pretty shit.
Okay.
Because of the size I was, I couldn't get proper matches, and I'd do mostly squash matches, which was maybe 1 or 2 minutes. So I couldn't really learn much about American wrestling. The problem was I couldn't get shows on the bigger arenas like Ring of Honor and all that stuff.
Yeah, because I suppose those are more known for like smaller indie wrestlers, aren't they?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So you made your comeback to New Japan with like a massive character change, didn't you? Gon was the king, and in came the underboss, Bad Luck Fale, and you quickly joined up with Prince Devitt, and you became like his bouncer and his partner, and you were joined by Machine Gun and Tamatonga to form Bullet Club. So whose idea was it to put you with Devitt? And did in this early stage did you realise Bullet Club was going to be this huge worldwide sensation?
Well, I was still in America at that point, and our booker came up to America for one of our tours there, and we talked we talked about me coming back soon. Like in usually when they send somebody abroad from New Japan, they go for 2 years or more.
Right.
But I've only been there for I think 10 months, and he already had this idea. He told me if I wanted to, I can come back earlier, and he wants to give David a new character as well, and if I wanted to team up with David. So I kind of like the idea, and I guess that's why he brought me back earlier than everybody else.
Yeah.
And yeah, immediate hooking up with David there has just changed everything. Like the way I looked at how the matches were, and my character, the way my charisma, all the stuff I learned from him, and having Machine Gun and Tamatonga join us to form the Bullet Club just even made it even better, because I had more guys to learn from.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, I had no idea that this thing was going to blow up.
Yeah. Did the bookers know? Were they like, oh, we're going to build up this massive sort of group of foreign wrestlers and they're going to take over New Japan sort of thing? Or was it just like, they sort of played it by ear?
I think the book has a good. He sees things in how do you say? He picks things up on the run kind of thing. So once he saw the amount of bullying and hatred that was coming towards me and David when we turned heel, he probably came up with the idea about, why don't we just put these guys together and see how the reaction is. And when he did, it even just blew up, because he told me to put over a heel faction, it usually takes 2 years.
Yeah.
And we did it in the space of maybe 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how he figured, why don't we just make these guys the main heel faction.
Yeah. So 2013 and early 14, you were feuded with Makabe. How did you find that, and was that sort of like a learning curve for you?
Oh, that was the most learning curve I've had so far in my early career here. Which was Makabe he's one of the old school type of wrestlers in Japan.
Yeah,
and he likes to treat everybody old school. So when I started feuding with him, I felt the tension and kind of like the foreign Japanese kind of tension. It didn't really, how do you say, feel like we were working together at first.
Right.
But it kind of grew into once he noticed that I was learning a lot from him and I was working good, I was being really light and stuff. Then he started to open up and show me the ropes and stuff, and that really showed on that Wrestle Kingdom match.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was like a huge match for you, wasn't it?
There was a test. That was my biggest test I've had. They said, they told me I was gonna be in a tag match maybe a couple of months before, and it got closer, and they said, you know what, you got to prove yourself. So I had to step up.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, all those people, like, walking out. I imagine it's, like, a right buzz for you.
It was.
So, also in early 2014, Devitt left to tour the UK before heading to, WWE and NXT. And AJ Styles made his debut, for New Japan.
Yes.
And he quickly
Yes.
aligned himself with the Bullet Club. It was pretty much here, wasn't it? The faction, like, exploded. Fans all over the world were, like, clamouring for Bullet Club T-shirts. And, you guys held all the major titles. That must have been amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, the Booker is such a genius, or such a smart guy, that he saw where everything was going and he just went with it. And his instinct was right. And after things started falling into place, he started booking us with the belts and stuff, and things just blew up. And especially when guys like the Young Bucks and Luke Gallows and AJ coming in and joining us, it just made us even bigger. Just them bringing their big names over and stuff. So it just made the club even more credible.
So this year was your first G1 Climax tournament, and it was huge, wasn't it? Everyone it was getting high praise from everybody, saying it was not only the best G1 ever, but it was one of the best wrestling tournaments ever. I mean, how is it for you being involved in that? And the schedule's pretty grueling and stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I heard all about it. Like everybody tweeting me about how this G1 is the best one ever and stuff, and it's kind of humbling because I was so happy and I was so glad to be in this one. I got to watch these guys for the last couple of years, and I saw how awesome this tournament was. But to be a part of it was a different story, and having a singles match against all these great guys just even taught me a bigger lesson on how to wrestle properly, how to wrestle different type of guys. It was fantastic. I enjoyed it.
No, yeah, and I think everyone who watched it really enjoyed it as well. So, last couple of questions. You headed our show's based in the UK, and you headed over to the UK for the first time this year to face Dave Mastiff, and you re-teamed with Prince Devitt, so on the Revolution Pro show. So, how was your first trip to the UK, and have you got any more plans to come back over here and do any more shows?
Oh yeah, actually, while I was still playing rugby, it was one of my biggest dreams to visit England or go and play there, and it was just a coincidence because, as you know, maybe Machine Gun was booked on the show, but due to circumstances he couldn't do it, and he fell on my lap, and I was like, hell yeah, I want to come there. I've always wanted to go there, and I was so happy about it, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, and I'd really like to be back. I'm just not sure. I'm still not sure if the English fans really want to see the underboss there or not. So if there is a chance, I will definitely come over there again.
Cool. Well, I'm sure they do. Like I'm sure your match with Dave Mastiff went over really well, and obviously Bullet Club's massive in the UK, so I'm sure they would do. So we've talked briefly about most of your career. What would you say is next is coming up next for you, and what's next for the Bullet Club?
Well, right now, I'm not really sure what's going on with the underboss, but I don't really care because I'm enjoying the spot I am. I'm enjoying being in the group with the guys. But I think with the Bullet Club, we really want to start expanding out into the world, and hopefully maybe next year we could follow through with this Jeff Jarrett company and start over in America, and hopefully make our way as a group into England or Europe at some point.
Cool. So weren't you in a movie in Japan recently as well?
Oh yeah. It's called Fushigi no Misaki no Monogatari. You understand what that is?
No, sadly not, I'm afraid.
It's a major Japanese drama, and it's featured the top actress in Japan and one of the top actors, and it went to the Montreal Film Festival, and it won some big award of it. So recently we had the premiere, and went through to that with Doc Gallows and Tamatonga. We had a good time watching the movie and having a good laugh in my couple of lines I had in there.
So how did
you... next month, yeah.
Cool. So how did you become involved in that then? Did you go for an audition or anything? Or was the guys like, oh, we've seen you on TV and we want you to come down and do a couple of scenes? And
actually it was from the Wrestle Kingdom match, me and Makabe.
Oh wow.
So actually, I think somebody from the movie saw the match or was at the match, and they were impressed of how big I was and how scary I looked, and a couple of days later they came and contacted the office, and they came and watched one of my matches, and it was, I think that was my audition, the match.
Brilliant. Oh, so I suppose you never know who's watching, do you? I mean, you weren't to expect anything like that was going to come out of that, were you?
You never know who's watching.
Brilliant. So I've got the last question. It's not from me. I tweeted Doc Gallows earlier to ask him if there's anything we should ask you. And he said to ask you about the KFC bucket and him being sick.
Oh my God, that's a story right there. We had we were in a city called Osaka, and there was the first tour. Gallows was there, and we went out for the first time. It was Machine Gun and I and Luke Gallows went out to this bar in Osaka, and we drank a lot. And Gallows showed us how to goggle shots, whiskey shots. So it's fair to say we had a few too much. But the next day I was feeling hungry, so I asked the guys, "Do you guys want to go for some KFC? Because this is the only all-you-can-eat KFC in the world.
Right.
Is in the city." And the guys agreed, so we took a 1 hour taxi ride, which was about $60 to get there, $60 to get back. And we got there. We ate so much that after we came outside, Gallows just started throwing up everywhere.
Oh dear. So let that be a lesson to everybody. Don't gargle whiskey shots and then eat KFC the day after. Yeah. Is there, just to tie it up, is there any way your fans can get in contact with you via Twitter, or anywhere anybody can get your merchandise or anything?
Okay, right now merchandise is still on the works.
Right.
If you want to contact me or say hi or whatever, I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and it's all under the name Tox Fale, TOKSFALE.
Excellent. That's at Tox Fale, and merchandise will be coming soon. No doubt it'll include a range of sunglasses.
Exactly. I'm still working on those.
Well, like I said at the start, it's been a huge honour to have a wrestler of your calibre on the show, and it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's been brilliant.